Well, welcome everybody to the Conscious Forum. I'm Dr. Wayne Anderson, and I will be facilitating this today. We'll give an opportunity for everybody to kind of pile in and get ready. This is going to be a really good Zoom today. I'm very excited about it. It's one of those areas in our life that is so important, and we have total control over it. And so hopefully you're having a great Tuesday. It's beautiful here. I'm looking at the ocean and it's relatively calm today. It's amazing as we kind of think about our minds. Our minds are kind of like the ocean. Sometimes everything is great and things are moving along and it's nice and calm and flat. And then there's sometimes that things kind of get into our heads, things that are happening in our life, either external to us or internal. We start building wavelets, and sometimes it can get tumultuous. I've seen the ocean and I've actually been in it sailing across the ocean where it's been 20, 30-foot waves. And so just like that, what we're going to talk about today is how do we calm the chaos? And what I'm talking about, the chaos, I'm talking about the chaos inside of us. And, I'd like to start off today by really showing this slide because I think our internal world right now in the whole world because of a lot of things that are happening outside, as well as just changes in the dynamics with the business world and the social world and all the chaos. We're in a very reactive state, and there's a lot of fear, a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety. And in my books, I talk a lot about reactive versus basically being conscious and being able to create. And for most of us, just because we're human and we interact in this world, and we have defense mechanisms that were set up, 10,000 years ago to protect us. We have a lot of stuff going on in there, and a lot of sometimes, like the lady or the guy, just how do I calm it? How do I take control of my internal world? And, I want to start off by saying I'm not being naive. We all have things happen. Pain is not optional. There are going to be things in the ups and downs of life that kind of get and disturb us and get in the way. But as a whole, what I really want to focus on today is how much control we really have at the conscious level to actually manage, first become aware of, and then manage the things that are inside of us and actually move from being in chaos to really being in control, being able to move from surviving to thriving. So with that, let's get started. The key to happiness has remained elusive. It seems that we want to be happy, but and we're happy. There's brief periods of time, that when we're with our grandkids, or we go to see a great movie, and we escape, or we see an amazing sunset. But a lot of the time, we're kind of in our heads, right? And we're looking for something outside of us to make us happy. And it's really important to understand most of us feel in some way I'm not enough as I am. In other words, as my world sits today, there are certain things that I need to have happen for me to be enough, for me to actually move into that happiness, that elusiveness that we deal as happiness. So we seek to compensate by looking to the outside world for help. And one of the things we do, we basically look for satisfying the lack of one of these three core wants: security, approval, and control. All three of those are basically necessary. I'm sorry, there's a helicopter going down the beach line, so I apologize for the noise. I've got the whole wall open so that I can listen to the ocean. And here we go. Here's an example of, do I get irritated? Something external is happening to me. How do I handle it? Well, it just happens to be a helicopter. It's actually pretty cool. I was thinking it'd be neat to be up in a helicopter going down the beach line and switching up something that could create an irritation. And that's just a great example of how we can become the dominant force in our life, how we can take radical responsibility, and how things as they happen, we can basically adjust to those to create that emotional agility necessary so we're not disturbed. If not, if we're waiting for the world to just be a certain way and be perfect, then we're going to have a tough time in life. So let's talk about these three needs that we have. The first one, security. Security really is this desire for survival. It comes from ancient times, of our need to basically be safe, to be secure, to feel that we have security in the key areas of our life. And if we don't have that, then we seek, to have a bigger portfolio, to have we can do everything from, making investments that are low risk that we think are going to make us more money, or things as buying weapons. We putting a more secure alarm. If we sense we lack security, we're going to put a bigger alarm system. And people in the same environment, I know in my life, it's not something I really think about much. I lock my door at night, but during the day it's open. The security system I put on when I'm away. I take the normal, security measures, but not focusing on it, because if you do, you're going to be very anxious. Secondly, basically approval. Approval is the need to belong. It actually, 10,000 years ago, if we were approved of by our tribe, then we wouldn't get killed. And so that creates security. So we seek approval to belong. We seek approval from other people if we don't feel that inside. And so basically, it's an important part of our lives. We want to belong. We want to be part of the tribe. We want to be part of our family when we're growing up. We want to be part of the societies and things that are important to us. And then the third is control. If we can't get approval, which creates security, then we attempt to use control to create security. So then we want to control things. We want to control, how our kids behave. We want to control how people perceive us. We want to control how people act around us. And so we have this sense of need to control. And really, all of those things it's out there. It's something outside of me can give me approval. If I get a raise from my boss, or he features me or takes me out to dinner, I get approval from him. Basically, as far as security, if I know that I have the highest level of security system, that I now can feel more secure inside. And then, of course, control is, as long as people do what I say, then basically the world would be better. My idea is I'm right and I need to be right. And if only my boss would give me a raise, I would be secure. If only my child would listen to me, they would do better in school. And so we kind of developed this kind of if only situation. And so what that does is that really puts us into a sea of onlys. If I had more money, if I had better relationships, if I had more toys, more things, then I would be happy. And the reality is just to pick those things that are extrinsic to us, whether it's wealth, we can never have enough of that. Better relationships, being attractive to people, we can never have enough of that. And more things, that we have, that we belong to, then I would be happy. So we're saying we're at the effect of that. If we can get these things, if I can get the corner office, if I can move to a better neighborhood, if I had a nicer car, then I would be happy. What that means is wanting implies lacking. And that's really important to understand, because when we want something, then it says that inside of us, we don't have everything we need to have approval, to be secure, and basically to basically be in control. And it's the root of all suffering. I mean, it really is. It's the root of all suffering, because life's going to happen to us. Things are, not everything's going to turn out the way we want. But if we are literally at a point where in our lives we are waiting for something to happen in order to be happy, then we're always going to be relatively unhappy. And when we get some of these things, most of the external things we get, over time they tarnish. So you get a new car and it satisfies you for a short period of time. But if you're lacking basically approval, or you're lacking control, and that car gets a dent in it, then we're suffering once again. So I think it's really important to understand that true freedom only comes when you decide you don't want to suffer anymore. And what in essence that means, it's letting go of the need to control or possess something. I think we spend so much time in our life trying to make things a certain way. If only, right, I can have it, then I will be happy. And so it's really important to understand that what if everything in this moment in your life is actually whole, perfect, and complete? And you may think, oh, you're saying that, but your life may be that way, but my life isn't. The reality is, if we go all the way back to someone even like Viktor Frankl in the concentration camp, he was able to, because he had strong purpose, and he was able to take his mind and in that moment realize that life was sacred for him, and his ability to survive basically in that state, even though as wicked as it was, allowed him to be in a state where at that moment, even though it truly wasn't perfect in every sense of the way, he sensed that it was, because he was whole, he was perfect, and he was complete. And it allowed him to move forward and truly in that moment survive. So this is really important, because if we recognize that we really have, we do have basically the approval. We have people that love us. We have people that care about us, that like us. We all have that. We all have basically security within our realm, that as you sit here in this present moment, everything in your life is secure from the standpoint that you are here on the planet present and you have what you need. And then that you are complete, that you are in control of the things that really matter. You're in control, and the part we spend so much time is you're in control on how you are conscious. If you're conscious and fully aware of what's going on around you in this moment, everything, time basically stands still and everything is perfect. You make that decision that, you know what, I do have what I need. My life is. And the difference of this versus lacking is, and for us as either as individual humans or as we lead our family or lead an organization, if we don't think that this moment in our life is actually whole, perfect, and complete, if we're lacking, then what we do is we need something outside of us or someone outside of us to make us complete. And if we need that, then we come from a fear base. We don't have what we need. But if we actually say, you know what, right now in my life, if I really look at it, I have approval. I have, and not think, oh, I do have approval, but actually really believe that I have approval. I have basically control, and I basically have security over those things that really matter. Then you come from a space of creativity, and it's a very different dynamic. When we come from want and the lack of, we are much more likely to be in a fear-based state and be in an unconscious state where we're being competitive, we're going after that, we're not being fully collaborative or co-creating with people, and we're more likely to look to get something from them to make us whole. So that's really important. And as you let go and find the truth of who you really are, you're going to effortlessly be more happy. When you start realizing that in this moment, I have everything that I need in terms of approval. So approval, security, and control are things that our life are about. But actually, the reality is that we have those, and understanding that changes the dynamic and puts you in a much better space, because now you're not in that reactive state. We always come back to, are you in that limbic reactive state? Or are you using this beautiful abstract mind up here, this prefrontal cortex that allows us to create, allows us to pay attention, allows us to really understand in our relation, which creates great organizational, great relational health, and puts us in position to truly be happy in the moment. Because in the moment, we, in essence, have the approval, the control, and the security we really need. And as you let go and kind of stop trying to find something outside of you to make you happy, and usually that's a result of you feeling you're lacking in one of those three key areas, it's really important for you to spend the time and say, in this moment, as I'm stressed out, what is it that I lack? Do I lack control? Do I lack approval? Or do I sense that I lack basically security? And if you spend a moment and actually realize in this moment, those things I really don't lack, I really have those things inside of me, then you'll start to, your mind will quiet and simply allow the mind to do its own thing and not take it personally. When we are lacking something, we are ego-based. And I spent a lot of time talking about it. Our personal mind has created experiences, and we've spent our whole lives creating conditions about conceptually how the world should be, how it should act. And the reality is the exact opposite can be true. The need to be right puts us in position where we are in conflict and we suffer. Now, I'm not, again, going back, things have happened in my life that are painful, and that's not optional. That's just part of the trajectory that is life. There's going to be good things, bad things. That helicopter coming by, it wasn't something I planned. But you know what? Rather than getting upset about it, I'm actually using it as a teachable moment to kind of use as an example of how, yeah, it was, oh gosh, it's a little loud, but you know what? You guys can deal with it. I can deal with it. And it's not affecting me inside, because if I say, oh no, I didn't do perfect on this on this Zoom today because I allowed that to happen. I should have closed the door. Well, it's too late for any of that, right? It happened. It's okay. And basically, I'm not going to hang on to it. And so I'm not lacking anything. If anything, it was kind of cool watching it go by. So you'll find the mind becomes friendly and there's enough for everyone. This is the difference between abundance mentality and scarcity mentality. It is the difference right now of why the world is in chaos, because people think, well, we don't have this and we need that. And basically it creates a fear-based state. And in a fear-based state, we have a high level. I showed the second slide where the tearing and the stress and the lady trying to do this to shut it down, or the guy like this, like, oh my goodness. That happens because we decide that we're allowing ourselves to suffer, and we can fully eliminate that. Can we eliminate all the issues that are going on? Of course not. We can't do that, but we can deal with them in a way that allows us to determine the outcome, how we conduct ourselves in the ups and downs of life. And once we do that and we actually sense that, everything changes, and it can happen just like that when you make that decision. So once you let go of the wanting, life starts flowing. And I like to say, I'm going to end today, honor the flow of life, respect and feel that we have very little control. The earth is 4.5 billion years old. We are this little speck of a speck. There's 8 billion people on the planet. And our role, our ego would say we're the most important thing on the planet. And the reality is we're not. But what we are is someone that's been given the great gift of life. And whether things are happening that basically are great or not so great at the time, how I respond to it allows me to basically handle it in a way where I now do what I always end every talk with: internal stability. So I'm not allowing these things to build up inside like a pressure cooker that blows and it creates such poor physical health. As I've mentioned many times for the last decade, I've recognized that basically emotional mismanagement is the leading cause of death. And as a physician that helps people create health, we want to take control of that. We want to build a psychological flexibility so that whatever happens, we can handle. And what that does is puts us in position for external equilibrium. No matter what happens, it'll help build good relationships with our families, with our kids, with our community, with our friends, and puts us in a great position for us to literally live in a state where we can thrive in our lives. So it's up to us to make the decision that that chaos that's happening out in the world is basically precipitated by our feeling that we lack something. And the reality is we lack nothing. We have the approval, we have the security, and we have basically, actually, I'll make a statement just on this because I have a friend that's family lives in Israel. And in Israel right now, obviously with the stuff going on in the world, and not to turn this into a debate, but they are doing okay because they've learned to live with the threat of war. It's just one of the things that their environment has. They wish they could wiggle their nose and make it better, but where they're located creates chaos. But inside, they've learned to deal with that. So they have the emotional flexibility that they go on with their lives daily and are not sitting in a state of fear constantly. So that's an example of how we personally can take control of our internal world. We don't have control of the external world, but inside we can build that emotional agility, that stamina, that emotional literacy over time that allows us. And so I'll end with just this. If you ask yourself, when I'm starting to get stressed out, if you ask yourself, okay, at this moment, what is it that I sense I lack, right? What do I sense I lack? And identify it. And then can I just in this moment sense that I'm lacking? I feel like I'm lacking something, but the reality is actually I'm okay. I'm actually okay. And by doing that and working with that, we can change our world. So hopefully that was helpful. And now we'll open it up for questions. Let me close this down. Take this off of. Okay.
All right. First up, we have Jenny. Jenny, can you come on camera and unmute yourself?
Hello.
Hi, Jenny.
Hi, can you see me okay?
Yeah, it looks like you're a commander of the world there.
Of my world.
That's exactly right. That's the only thing you have control of is your internal world. You hit it right on the head.
So, Dr. A, what an honor to actually speak with you. I'm a class of 2020 in this Great Awakening, and you are directly involved with my journey and my transformation, my life transformation. Um, I've lost 250 pounds in the last 2.5 years, and I still have like another 100 to go. So it's still,
Well,
I'm
first
still
of all,
journeying.
first of all, congratulations. I want to, well, languages are, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I really, do you mind if I do this? Because this is part of what
No,
we're,
no, please.
yeah. The way we talk to ourselves is really important. And so remember this, the limbic area in our brain, the emotional areas of our brain have no language, but the prefrontal cortex does. So when you basically, tell me, the gain that you had by losing over that much weight, and I have 100 more to go, that's those aren't contiguous. You've made a dramatic change already. Your focus is the desired outcome is to reach a healthy weight as part of my journey to optimal health and well-being, which is great. But start talking to yourself different. I'm in control. I approve, and I have the security because I've now dramatically changed my health and my life. I've worked so that all those things are tremendously better, and I continue on that journey. Not, oh, but I have to, I still need to. It's not I still need to. It's not that you need to, you basically desire to, because it's something that allows you to now become more complete. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Yes. And yes, absolutely. And that actually does touch upon my question. Um, so I've never been in this space as an adult, right? I've lived unconsciously for 25 plus years, basically.
Have 95% of the population. I just want to make sure this is not a wrong or right thing. It's just that we are designed to go on automatic. We sleepwalk through life. And that worked 10,000 years ago because you had everything you needed back then, right? Because those things, those defense mechanisms, that negative bias kept you safe. But in this complex, crazy world we're in now, that stuff isn't serving us. So we need to take control. So that's, first of all, to identify that for 25 years you were in a different state, and now your awakening is tremendous. So if you notice, everything I'm saying to you is that I want you to start thinking is I've made tremendous progress. I am growing tremendously, and I'm okay, right? I'm okay right now. I'm okay. Yeah.
I'm perfect, whole, and complete.
Beautiful. Awesome. Keep going. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure that as your language, as you talk to yourself, because basically, by the way, who do we need approval, security, and basically control of more than anything? Ourselves.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And so this really speaks to where I'm going with this. And so my question is, what insights can you provide for me to keep reprogramming the operating system that I've had in place? I do visualize myself as a healthy weighted person, right? To bring it into my reality, right? But old programming functions do creep up, even with all that I've embodied the last 2.5 years. So what further insights can you provide for me to just keep, moving forward in this direction that I want, in an awakened conscious space, to override the old programming that I have operated under for so long, right?
Well, that's great. No, that's a great question, and you're on your way. Because like if we talked to you 10 years ago, or even maybe 5 years ago, you wouldn't even know, you would not comprehend what you just said to me. Okay.
No.
So the first part is just becoming more conscious. We have two parts of our brain in terms of our thought process. One is the conscious part, right? And then the other is the unconscious part. Your personal mind, your years on the planet, your experience have conceptualized so that there's a way things should be. Okay. And as a result of that, all that is at a subconscious level, and it's sitting there. You may not even know why you're acting the way. The first part is always your body will tell you, because the way your body's set up, those mechanisms inside there protected you at one time. And so when something's happening that's triggering those, your body will respond emotionally and basically with energy. So you will start sensing the icky sauce. You'll sense it but in your jaw, your throat, your chest, your gut, maybe a pounding. Your breathing will change. Something will be an indication that something from your past has been triggered, right? Because remember, things that we didn't like, especially when we were really young, we basically repressed and suppressed them. We put them out of the way because we didn't want to deal with them, and we didn't know how to deal. When you're 5 years old, this part of your brain isn't developed, and if your parents say you're stupid, you take that seriously, and then you basically suppress that. So we have all this garbage inside of us that at one time probably served us, but now it doesn't. So when you, and it's not that it's wrong or right, it's just that there's stuff in there that to your point, in your current world, in the world we live in, and the world's changing so rapidly, those operating systems aren't working for us anymore. And so basically you have a pattern, you have an identity. Your identity is based on what your ego thinks is healthy versus non-healthy. And if your ego says, you know what, you eat, wrong things because basically it helps you feel good. Now you decide that, I'm a healthy person. I've lost a whole bunch of weight. I'm continuing on that. And my mindset of my identity of myself has changed. I am now someone who doesn't eat garbage because I'm a healthy person. And it's not a mind thing. It's actually, that's who you are now. So you don't do it. And it's not that, here's a really important thing. It's not that, I'm being strong, I'm being disciplined, I'm avoiding eating that. Because if that's your mindset, then you're going to eat it eventually. Because basically there'll be a time when you're not conscious and, you'll be sitting there at a table and the person next to you has a hot fudge sundae or a cream brulee or whatever. And they're not looking, boom, your subconscious mind will say, damn, I'm taking that, and it eats it, right? But if you've now decided that I am a healthy person and I make healthy choices and I've lost all this weight, I've now gained this much health, and I am now moving to the place where as a healthy person, I don't eat that because that's not something I do, then it's not hard for you. It becomes easy because that's who you are. Does that make sense?
That is so perfect. That's exactly what I needed to hear. It's so
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
And thank you.
It's not fooling yourself. It's actually who you're becoming. As
Yep.
you do that, and the same thing in everything in our life. Our old program only sits there and works when we're unconscious. When we're conscious and you're aware, so self-awareness, feeling when you're starting to feel that trigger and then sensing it. So going with our lesson was today, talking about basically what we want or what we think we lack, right? When there's something you think you lack, like, oh, I lack right now, basically I lack, that doesn't matter what it is, but let's just say my significant other, somebody didn't recognize when I cleaned the house or didn't something. And so if we think, well, what is the actual core need there? Well, the core need is approval. We need approval. So then we smile to ourselves, do I really need approval? My significant other loves me. I know that. They're just going through life doing the best they can do. I don't need them to be approved. By the way, when we realize that we are enough, that we have approval, we have security, and we have control of the things that matter, suddenly the desire, because desire, needing something or wanting something that we don't have implies lack. And if we have lack of, then we suffer. And so if we think we need something, then we're going to suffer. But actually, you don't need anything. You have what you need. You understand now you're a conscious individual. You're working by repetitive behaviors to make choices that are now healthy for you. And all those things are additive and adding value. You've gone a long way on that journey already, and you're gaining tremendously. And the feedback loop is building your self-confidence. So every day you become stronger. And if you have a setback because there's a point when you're unconscious, then say, okay, why was I unconscious? Was it because I was driving in a car? Was I watching something on TV and somebody next to me had something and I ended up eating something? It's usually because you're actually subrogating, where you're letting your subconscious self, which is your ego, is not going to go away without a fight. Your personal mind wants to be in control. Hey, it managed you, like you said, for your whole life up until this time where you became conscious. Make sense? So
Yes.
you've got to
Dr. A,
be,
your ripple effect, sorry, but your ripple effect is so immense in my life and all the people's lives that you have changed. Think about all the people we affect. Your ripple effect is so immense. It's an honor to be and share this space with you. So thank you.
well, thank you. And let me say something. I'm just a fellow human like you are, trying to find my way. And every time I do one of these, my preparation for it, I'm learning each time. And I've learned from you. Hopefully we're learning from, that's why this is a forum. We learn from each other. And as a result of that, as fellow humans, it's not that, it's not this up one, down one. It's partners in a journey in a world that continues to change rapidly. And if we
Yes.
use this human transformational technology to help move us forward, the world has got some serious issues. And this is how we change, one person at a time, deciding to basically take control, to be awakened to the point that you are the dominant force in your own life and you can be part of building relational health with others. So thank you so much for that. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll be seeing you in person at the Momentum Tour
Awesome.
in Tampa. So I'm looking
Awesome.
forward to that.
Can't wait to see you. All right.
All
Have a
right.
great.
Thank you.
See you, Jean.
Bye.
All right, next up we have Stacy. Oh.
Hey, Stacy.
Hey, Doc, and fellow birthday buddy. How are you?
Oh, I'm great.
Awesome. I'm great too. You can see on my screen, it says Stacy 2.0. When I got here 4 years ago, I became, because I listened and I took everything in, lost over 100 pounds, which for me, I've kept that off for, the 3 years. And I that astounds me. But also that 2.0 is really, I'm being a little waffly on. In my question, it says that 3 months ago, we moved my mother-in-law in. She's 80. And everything that comes along with that. And I was struggling. I was really struggling. And what I found is when I struggle with this particular thing, I go back to losing my. I know I have all these amazing tools in my tool belt, but I just go straight to feeling sorry for myself, being depressed, and being annoyed. This is a woman I adore, Dr. A. She has been there for me like no other woman. This is a whole different side of it, and I'm struggling, and I'm struggling because I feel like because of the way I feel about it, I feel like if I didn't do this, that it would impact my marriage. It was me trying to overdo to make a situation better. But my coach pointed out to me this week that I just walked in there and heroed the hell out of it. I did. I put on my cape, I flew in, and I rescued the damn day. Now, after doing all of that, why am I still losing my mind when I chose it and I committed to it? And I just feel like it's not enough. I feel like I'm not enough. And I know that's not the truth. And I just want to be better. I want to be better for me. I want to be better for her. And I want to treat the situation better. I don't want to make her feel like she's unwanted, because that's not the case. My husband had just retired. We had planned to, go travel, do some stuff. And then we seriously had to pivot. And listen, I'm putting my heart on the line here with you this morning. I don't know if I did it just so that everyone would be thankful and grateful, or if I did it because it was the right thing to do. I mean, I didn't do it for money, because let's be clear, there was none of that. And so I just feel like I'm in a whirlwind inside of my head. One day I'm great, the next day I'm not. And I
Yeah.
just want to be even keeled and helpful and loving.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you covered a lot there. And first of all, again, this forum is for kind of discussing how we work, how our mind works. I'm not a psychotherapist, and so certainly, if you're really bothered to the point where you need to get some professional help, then get professional. But
I've even
these are the insights that I would say. First of all, you're beating yourself up, you're judging yourself, you're doing a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about all day about needing approval. Yeah, you did it for multiple. Why you did it doesn't matter. What matters is that this is where you are now, and how do you move forward? You're
Yes.
right. You might have done it basically thinking you were here to save the day. You loved your mom. You basically she needed the extra care. And bottom line from there, you did something. You didn't really think it all the way through. It wasn't a full body yes. And
There
you
it is.
did it, and now you're basically seeing the consequences, including basically everything from not being able to travel with your husband. You're finally at a point where you could do that, and so you are basically judging yourself and putting yourself in a position of being fully in the drama triangle. So this is the important part of moving into a conscious state, because from a conscious state, all decisions become easier. So what if the opposite was true? What if the opposite was that this time in your life, right, where rather than you did it, you were heroed and you did it, what if actually this time period with your mom and I don't know all the circumstances, but let's just say these are the last few years of your mom's life. And what if, 5 years from now, because you decided to do this, that you recognize and look back when if she's passed, and you think, oh my goodness, this was an incredible time for me to be with the person that I've always admired and loved, to give back to her and to nourish and be with her. And I do it because we have an amazing relationship. So what if that was true? Because see, you're basically right now, your ego is trying to protect you, and it's trying to say, oh God, you did this. Yeah, you're a hero, but what do I do now? Do I set her outside on the street corner? I mean, tongue in cheek, obviously not. But you have to look at it objectively. Reality is an acquired taste. And in that reality, you have to look and say, okay, in this circumstance, I was going to travel, do things. How can I still do both? How can I, even if we're doing staycations, right? Because more and more young kids, because they don't have the resources now because of inflation, everything, they're doing staycations and they're having a ball. So you're the one that decides that you have enough, right? That you have approval, you have security, and you have control. You have control over this whole situation. And rather than making it about you and whether you're a good person or a bad person, there's no committee on celestial design that's sitting there like in the gladiator in the amphitheater going thumbs up or thumbs down. Okay. Your actions need to be decided because that's what is important to you. And when you take responsibility for that, you can look and say, okay, how do I work, in the multiple parts that are affected by this? How do I provide the care that I want for my mom? But how do I also provide the same level of interaction and relational health with my husband? Remember, it's not outside of you. Going to, you might have wanted to go to Paris or to Italy or wherever, but those aren't what build your happiness. Remember, it's understand that you're enough. You're enough right now. You basically have what's required. You have the approval. Obviously, your mom loves you. Your husband loves you. As far as security, you've changed the world where now you've got more time with your mom. So if you relationally look at it, wow, I'm with my mom, getting to spend the time because life moves on. Remember, there are ups and downs in life. You're just like all of us. Every one of us is going to pass from this physical world to hopefully another state. But who knows? We don't know. No one knows, right? We think we know, but we hope we know. But right now in this place, every day, you make the decision that I am enough, and not only enough, I'm okay. And when these feelings come up, you stop, you challenge them and say, you know what? I'm okay. I have what I need. And start making the decisions based on how do I now, knowing that I'm okay, how do I, in each one of these environments, not say, oh, beat yourself up and say, oh, I made a bad choice. I was a hero, and now what do I do? Because none of that matters. What matters is your own internal mind. And your thoughts are not you. I can't say this enough. Those thoughts are not you. They are your ego basically messing with you and trying to put you in position where you do certain things and make the world a certain way. And you have very little control over that. What you do have control over is how you go through your day, right?
Yes.
That makes it, and I'm just watching your face change dramatically. You know, when you first started talking, I could see the suffering on your face, and you're beating yourself up for things. Listen, it's admirable that you want to basically, it's admirable that the person that brought you into the world, that you want to be here to make sure their experiences, they leave this earth is a good one, and your relationship with her. And so, you know, when you start feeling that, just sense that right now, you know, you're a perfect example. You're a perfect example, Stacy. When I'm feeling that way, ask myself, what do I lack? And all of a sudden you may think, okay, in this situation, I lack control. I lack control because now I don't have full control. So if it's okay that really, in the sense, that's what I'm sensing, and that's okay, but it's not real. You do have control. You have control. You have enough control. You have control over the things that matter. And one of those is now you have control over one of the beautiful things, like you said, because you love your mom, you have control over that environment. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
It
And
does. I think I just needed someone to tell me that, because here I am. And listen, I have done really well through your books. And that was my biggest problem, is all of a sudden I've got this whole life event and I'm like, back to the old stuff, you know. It's like I moved the whole book out of the way. I'm like, I wish I had a little button in my head that I could just go, what am I lacking? Because I don't remember to do that. So I've got to remember to do that for myself.
yes, watch this again. When I go through the approval, security, and control, go through it in sense that, okay, because you know what? The bottom line is you're not lacking. It's the lacking that causes the fear, that causes the anxiety, that causes that dysfunction. It's that lacking. It's not that you don't want those things. Of course, we all, you know, part of life is having control, it's having security, and basically it's having approval. We want those things, and that's okay, but you have them. You really do have them. If you don't think you have them, then basically that lacking creates that fear-based mentality where you got to go get it from something else, like you got to go on vacation, or you have those things.
Yes, you're right. Yes.
Yeah, and just listen, don't beat yourself up because you don't remember, because it's all about that. But you know what? As I was talking to Jeannie, remember, your body is a great laboratory that will tell you by its emotional feelings that there's something going on. It's your role to put on your lab coat, your goggles, and go figure out, okay, what's happening right now? And right now, I feel the lack of, and you know, the reality is it's okay to feel that. I'm human, and I'm feeling sorry for myself right now because I want to go to Paris, and it's okay. But it's not okay to dwell on it, because you do have approval, you do have security, and you do have control. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, look at you smile like that. That's the 2.0. And by the way, remember, you've got all these years where you're the architect of your ego, your personal mind that created who you are. And bottom line is now to fully become aware, be present, knowing, by the way, you don't need to go anywhere to be who you are. You don't need to have anything to have what you want. You already have those things, because if you have those things, you don't need to go anywhere else, and you have them. You have them all inside. We have inside of us a wholeness, a completeness, and we have to realize that when we realize that, then all of a sudden the struggling stops. Yes, do I have to deal with my mom's getting old and she needs care, and I'm in the process of doing that, and you know what? I'm damn glad I did it. And you know what? I'm not going to beat myself up, because there's incredible joy that comes from that. Make sense?
Yes, very much.
Remember, framing and reframing is everything. You lack nothing. You lack nothing.
Thank you.
Cool. You're
Thank you.
welcome.
And thank you, Chris. He upgraded me to 3.0. I love it.
That's Chris. Chris made some bunk beds for his kids. What again? He was so proud of it. And you know what? I was so getting ready for this that I didn't even get a chance to see him yet. And so, I'm looking forward to seeing those, Chris. So send me a picture of those. But all right, well, great talking to you, Stace.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you, Doctor.
All right, next up we have Jan. Hi, Jan.
Hi, Jan.
Hi, Dr. A. Boy, first of all, I just want to say it was so wonderful to have you in Utah with the Momentum Group last in May on the 18th. And for anybody who's in New York and in St. Petersburg, he's coming to your area. And if you can get there, you will be so glad you did. So
Love that. Love that.
anyway, Dr. A, I was just going to say what everyone's been talking about today is so personal to me because this is somewhere where I've been journeying for a long time to undo myself as a hero and learn how to be in my space and how I look at life and how I respond to life. So today, you made a comment about a situation where someone does something nice for you or you do something nice for someone else and expect a response. That happened to me this morning. I just wanted to kind of say, I did something for my husband and I like to have the laundry like right side out when we do the laundry so that when it gets folded and put away, it's the right way. He does the laundry, which is so awesome, but he'll just fold it up inside out and he doesn't care, which is great because I appreciate it, but I love to have stuff the right way. So I dump the laundry, I put everything right side out so that it could be washed right. And then when he puts it away, then it's right. And he came in and saw all the nice piles and I was waiting for him to say, wow, thank you so much for doing that for me. He didn't say anything. He just went on with his day. And I caught myself waiting for that little, pat on the head or kiss on the cheek. And then I thought, why did I do it in the first place? I did it because I love how it gets folded and put away the right way. And I did it for a nice reason, but I caught myself and I thought, I don't need that. I don't need that. I know he loves me. I know he appreciates me. And I can go right on with my day and not get all bent out of shape over some little thing, which used to cause me problems. But I've learned to train myself because of what I've learned along the way through this process of the habits of thinking. And with, your tutoring and with everybody working together on this stuff, it makes a difference. So I just wanted to share that. And also, I wanted to say that my question for you is actually, I try to keep a pretty positive outlook always. I'm really loving the whole reframing idea. I've been working on that a lot just to keep whatever is going on, reframe it in a different way so that I can process through it and not get caught. But I've also been kind of once in a while when I'm in a situation where things aren't going well and I'm like, well, hey guys, let's think about it this way. Could we look at it this way? Could we? And sometimes people are be like, everything isn't sunshine and rainbows, Jan. It's just not always like that. And I've heard you even say, this isn't Pollyanna, right? And I happen to love that show. That's my favorite show. And I make my kids watch it every year. But anyway, I really think that positive outlook of, how can we play the glad game? How can we, so I want to know what is the difference between this internal stability and Pollyanna-ish stuff. Like, is there a difference or is it
that's
okay?
a great question. First of all, I want to go back for a moment to your episode from this morning. So what did you lack?
Well, I really didn't lack anything. I was looking for,
No. You actually did lack something. What did you lack?
Maybe I was just looking for reinforcement from
There's
him.
there's only three answers. Approval, control, and security.
Approval.
Yeah. You lack approval. Remember, those are the three primary fundamental, like primary colors. There's all kinds of iterations on it, but you lack approval. And also, you lack what?
Of those three?
Yeah, there's another one you like.
Control?
Control of your husband's behavior, right? That's why you had that moment inside with a little girl in you, right? The little girl in you, basically seeking approval, basically because approval creates security. And if you don't get approval, then you at least want control. See those mechanisms? And the desire was that you wanted it done a certain way. And so you did it because that's what you wanted. You shouldn't look outside of you for anything else. Make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So now let's talk about polyamory. So again, there's a difference between life and the events of life and how you respond to them. How you respond to them determines the outcome. So really important. That's the difference. It's not that, oh, you hit me in the face. God, how can I learn from that? No, you hit me in the face. It hurts. But then I realize and think, okay, what are the things that happened there that basically I can now minimize it? And, you know, in the case of obviously, and that's not a really good example, I'm using something extreme. But if someone shot you in the head, it's not about you, it's about them. And so for us to basically take it personal, and I know obviously it's very personal to get shot in the head, but bottom line is it's not about them, it's how we respond to it. And so in general, one of the first mechanisms to use so we don't go to our negative bias, because first of all, you're a human being. And what you had happen this morning is a normal response to how we are programmed, you know, our operating system. You know what? I did something nice, I didn't get approval for it. Basically, I've asked him to do it this way and he doesn't do it that way, right? So those are two things that are great examples, very small, that you can correct. And here's the thing. I needed approval there and I didn't get it, but I already have approval, right? My husband loves me. So the reality is what we do is we label everything. We take everything that happens and we give it a label of how it should be. You know, in the 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership, one of the things they talk about is if you look at an umpire, 3 umpires, they're basically talking about how they respond to doing their job. First one says, basically, I call balls and strikes because of where they are. The second one says, I call them as I see them. And the third one says, I basically look at pitches. And then I determine, right? So in other words, if it has to be a certain way or I see it a certain way, then I'm labeling it. I'm labeling what it should be. And in this case, I'm labeling there is a right way to fold the damn laundry and there's a wrong way. And my husband, although he's nice, he's not doing it right. His intention, by the way, is what you should be focusing on, which is he wants to do something to help you, okay? But for him, folding it is folding it. And you know what? We're guys. We're from, I don't know, we're from Mars, you're from Venus. I don't know. We think differently. We are differently. And how we do things are differently. But in the real scheme of things, the things that we value, you have a husband that values his participation in the housework. It's a major bonus, right? So, okay. So in that, rather than Pollyanna, utopia is wanting the world to be a certain way. The world will never be a certain way. Protopia is making the decision that I'm going to view the world from a way where I'm fully present and I'm going to interact with what's important. And what's really important is basically something was done this morning in your house that wasn't to your liking the way you like it. So basically you can have a conversation and say, do you mind if I show you so I don't need to redo it, or just let it go? It's just like, you know, years ago when my girls were growing up, we had pets and Lori used to basically take care of the pets. And Robert Fitz said to her one time, she was all frustrated because the girls weren't taking care of the pets. And Robert was very clear to say that's because they're not their pets, they're your pets, right? That's your laundry. You have a system that you use that makes you feel complete, that you've done it in a way that is your preference. And by the way, the ultimate goal is not to have preferences. Our preferences is what causes all of our suffering. All of our suffering is because of our preferences, right? And really, if we realize that we have the approval we need, we have the control that's important, and we have the security that's absolutely part of our lives that we need, then all of a sudden, most of the stuff we do, which we think we lack, that we're trying to get, really becomes irrelevant, right?
That's true.
So, when they write books like Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, that's pretty small stuff, right? Yeah. And so even though you like it a certain way, that's your preference, and that's not your husband's preference. So you have to decide, you know what? Hey, honey, there's no need for you to do the laundry because I'm going to redo it, or fold the laundry because I'm going to redo it. Great. That makes you help with your preference. Great. But knowing that don't get frustrated about something just like, I brought up the helicopter. I could have got frustrated at that, or I could have actually said, darn, I would love to be in that helicopter. That's not being Pollyanna. That's actually changing. And the easiest thing we can do anytime when we're going to our negative bias, because we are programmed to have negative bias. Somebody says something positive, we repeat it 3 times. Somebody says something negative, we repeat it 33 times, because we are biased to protect ourselves. That's what it is being a human. We are used to basically being at the effect of, and if we let all these things affect us and don't take internal control, that's what internal stability is about. It's about basically so in that circumstances, you can decide, if I'm being frustrated by this, what can I do? I can either say, okay, it's because I like it done this way. And then you can very kindly say, honey, I love the way you take out the garbage, but I'd rather do this myself. And then that relieves, and you're basically changing that dynamic. Or you could say, God, I love my husband, and just go ahead and fold it the way you want to fold it.
Yeah.
Make sense?
For sure. Yeah, he's a great one. And we figured out what works, between us, how we can make the household flow better. And he said, I'll do that. I don't mind doing it.
That's
and
a co-committed relate. By the way,
Yeah.
that's the difference between a co-committed and a codependent relationship. One in which you are wholly yourself, and now you don't need, if you need someone to love you to feel loved, then you have a codependent relationship. If you basically love yourself, and I don't mean from a narcissistic way, but you're just very content with yourself and you're working. So just like the 2 ladies before, bottom line is I want them to stop beating themselves up, because they're working on themselves, and it's a beautiful thing. And bottom line is, you are whole right now. Can you continue to strive to upgrade your programming so you can basically strengthen the things that are important to you, that you value the most? Yes, but not trying to get the world outside of it. The whole job is an inside job.
Yeah, it's awesome. Good stuff. Thanks so much, Dr. A.
My pleasure. All right, Rachel, we have someone else in the queue. We're almost out of time, but I'll do one last one if someone's been waiting.
Yes, we do have Catherine.
Great.
Catherine, can you come on camera? There you are.
Hi, Catherine.
Hi, Dr. A. I'll try to make this quick. You mentioned Viktor Frankl, and years ago I ran across his quote that I love, that we can be the victim of circumstances or the architect of change. And that's easier said than done. So my question is this: I hate the month of June, and I need to reframe that. 2020, I remarried June 5th. By my parents. We had hospital beds in their bedroom, and then within 48 hours, my dad passed away. And then 6 weeks later, my mom passed away. And then in between their 2 deaths, my brand new husband was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and he passed away 5 months later. And so June was hard, and I stayed the first year as a victim. And, it would have been my wedding anniversary, June 5th. June 7th marks my dad's passing. It's Father's Day. Would have been my late husband's birthday, the end of the month. So, but I was just surprised and disappointed in myself today with the flood of emotions. So my question is, in order to stay out of the victim role in the drama triangle, do I need to be working on rewiring neural pathways to suppress my subconscious, or am I actually trying to strengthen my subconscious, but in a more positive way?
Okay, great question. I'm sorry for your losses. It was coincidental that it was June. It doesn't matter whether it was July, September, January, right? It brings back memories. Your flood of emotions is because you are a human being, and you're sensing loss that you had, and you're remembering them, and you're basically, those are not things to suppress. You want to feel those feelings all the way through. You don't suppress them. You don't mess with them. You simply feel those feelings all the way through. And most probably, most of it, I can tell. And actually, you're actually through transference, I'm actually sensing your grief. Okay. So I'm sensing that as well. And I'm feeling emotional and I'm feeling sadness for you. All right. It's okay. You're a human. We're supposed to feel, you're not supposed to suppress those. You're not supposed to repress them. Actually, part of the healing process and part of where you're going as you become conscious and you work on yourself is basically fully feeling them all the way through. That's what a conscious individual, you're being conscious that you're sad today. And it's not something, oh, I shouldn't be sad. It's like, this is going to what I was referring to when Jan was talking about Pollyanna. No, Pollyanna is, oh, everything's perfect. My 3 most important people in my life died. Okay. I'm sad at the moment. I'm remembering them. I remember how much I love them and I'm sad. Okay. You follow that through, you feel it all the way through. And in about 90 seconds, it's gone. You felt it all the way through. And then you go on with your life. And then you focus on the things you want to create, the things you want to be, the things that are important to you, but you do not repress or suppress those. And if they trigger other things, let those come up too. And they're going to hurt. They were painful when they happen. They're going to be painful when they're triggered. But the whole idea is through this to start releasing those things. You have no control over your subconscious, by the way. You have no control to change your subconscious. You basically simply become aware of things that are being triggered from your personal mind, from your ego, from your experiences of life, and you let them come up and you let them go. You let them move through. And, yeah, because it happened in that timely fashion, it's a normal being a human that you're sad. So feel that, go through that, have those moments. Listen, I lost my wife 6 years ago. And 99% of my time, I am in pure joy. But when something comes up, like I was with my girls for my younger daughter's birthday, we had some things and we were sad and then we laughed about it on one of the behaviors that Lori had. And so we bonded with it and we didn't repress. We didn't say, oh, we can't talk about that. Oh, we can't be sad about it. No, it was sad. And then the joy came because I had 20 plus years with her. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And just look at you smiling. I just see, no, you have complete control over these things, Catherine. And by letting it be, you're a human being. We're going to go below the line. We're going to feel like a victim sometimes. It's that we recognize it and we follow it all the way through. That's why when you desire something, when you feel a lack of something, sense what is it do I lack? Be in that space with yourself and say, just like Jan. Jan has been working on this for a long time and she is a highly conscious individual. And this morning she had an issue with her husband, not a big issue, a little thing, but once she recognizes it was an approval and it was a control issue, then we can laugh at ourselves and say, yep, that's silly me. I prefer to have it done this way. And I'm now projecting, if I don't recognize it and let it come all the way through, then I project it and I create dysfunction in my relationship. When I recognize it, it doesn't, it's like water in a duck's back and it makes no difference in Jan's relationship. Just like you had significant life events. Pain is not optional. Pain happens in our life. We're all born, we all die, and in between a lot of stuff happens and life is intrinsically unstable. It's how we respond to it that determines the outcome. So the beauty of it is, as you feel those feelings and they come, release those things, fully feel them all the way through and recognize that's okay. You're feeling your feelings. You're being integrous of something that was very, very sad to you and you're remembering it. And that's okay. That's nothing wrong with that. And that's not your subconscious. That's actually a real life event. Make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
Look at you
It does.
smiling like that. Look, just know you are the dominant force in your life. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it, Catherine. And for all of you, thanks for joining us. Please share this. This is designed for anybody that wants to literally work at becoming the dominant force and actually being able to thrive at a crazy time in the outside world. Let's build calm and decrease chaos on the inside. God bless you guys. Bye.